This is Big D and Shave, TacoYaki Anime.
Yo.
And today with us is the Spastic Line once again.
Bonjour.
Today we're going to be talking about our final thoughts on the fall season of 2019. Today we have 5 shows to talk about. And what do y'all think of the season overall?
I think it was a good season. They have a lot of good titles, I think, going on right now. Some new, some sequels, and I don't know. I thought it was a very good final season for the year. Wrapping things up.
Yeah, I think it was a nice, well-rounded season. There were so many shows that I wish I could have gotten to, but they're on the list.
Indeed.
What did you think of the season, Spaz?
I actually have to agree with Shade on that. A great way to end the year. Had a few good shows just to wrap it up. Definitely not Demon Slayer, but
we're not Demon Slayer quality here on this final one, but it was still good. I mean,
because that one, if you started watching that one, you wouldn't watch any others.
Yeah. It ruins you, honestly.
But
I'm told that won like the Decade Award or something like that for Best Anime.
Oh. Wow.
But all in all, I'd say a lot of the shows were really good. I liked them, especially some of the newer ones.
Okay.
Agreed.
Well, the first show we're going to be talking about is Boku no Hero Academia.
I get to remain quiet for this one.
I guess how far did you get? Did you get like
first 2 episodes?
First episodes? Okay.
Oh, you missed out on such good stuff.
Yes.
I realized that, but I could tell where this was going to start going, and I'm like, I don't want it to be another like hero killer moment or battle at the campus moment. I'm like, let's give it a little time and kind of space them out a little bit. That way I can start watching them and not be like, oh my god, what happens next, kind of thing. And then I just kind of lost track of it. So.
It is, yeah, and it's funny that you say that because the latest episode that came out is exactly that.
Yeah. See, I
you
know
want to know
do.
what happens.
I know.
And I can't say anything about it.
Yeah. So because this is in the middle of the season, we aren't going to go through like the details of it. Basically, we'll just kind of go like an overall feeling of where things are pointed at. So, would you recommend this show? Yes, we've recommended this show many, many times, and it's one of the great shonen shows out there.
And I don't necessarily particularly like shonen shows, and this has been probably one of my favorite shonen shows I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Reading it is a great read as well.
I mean, overall, it just seems like it was very well put together, very well thought out. You know, it's hard to do, I think, an animation like this, or even some sort of media like this, where you have so many different characters with so many different powers and so many different, variations on what they can do, what they can't do. I mean, it's hard to keep track of, but
that's why they make it easy. They gave themselves an out with Eraserhead.
Well, that's true.
Oh, I'm gonna do something. No, you're not.
Well, yeah, but still, at the same time, it's that's why I'm saying, though, it's done well, because they think of these things and they do these things, and it's not something that's just thrown together. I've said it before, like with time traveling stuff. Time traveling in media is hard to do well. People do it all the time, but they usually suck at it.
Yeah.
So this is another one where if you have so many superpowers in one mashup, it's like how do you keep track of them? How do you make sure that no one seems like they're too OP or that they're gaining in abilities or that they're improving themselves? And I think My Hero does a good job of that. So
Yeah, and I would say like for the point of all the different powers, you still have to have like the standard powers, like the strength and the speed and stuff like that. And I like how they kind of twisted it for a lot of different characters. Like somebody's like, he's really fast because he has engines on his legs, or they're really fast because they can use static electricity or something like that. So I do like how they twist and add a little bit of spice to each of the different powers, even though they are standard powers.
very true.
There's also useless quirks in the world too.
Yeah.
Like people can stretch their eyeballs out of their heads,
Yeah.
or
And-
other useless things that don't have any practical use for the hero world.
And see, that makes sense too, because there are some, I feel like, Index, who, like, you keep meeting all these different characters, all these different powers, and they all seem relevant. They all seem like there's something they can do with them, and this, that, and the other thing. Whether it be the Espers or the Magicians, they all seem like they could do something fairly decent or fairly major in their own way. But that's not always the case. You're gonna have people who are gonna be like, well, I can move small objects 10 inches. You know, it's like, that's the best I can do.
Hey, there's
You know?
there's Midoriya's mom's power.
Exactly. So I mean, you know, it's like you don't always you can't always draw the biggest luck, and I think that is probably the biggest over encompassing theme of the entire anime is that even when you don't have the best, doesn't mean you still can't do something great.
Like
So-
what's his name? Minata. He doesn't have the greatest power, but he makes it work.
A little,
Yeah, the sticky balls.
Grape head.
yeah.
That is my nickname for him.
I kind of wish that his power kind of like overcompensated for his attitude, because he has his powers like and his attitude, I'm like, all right, can we move on to somebody else? What is Froppy doing? I gotta go to Froppy.
And you know, there again, Froppy, she's a frog. Yeah, she has her tongue and whatnot, and she's pretty agile and whatnot, but she's a frog in all sense and purposes. Human-sized frog, essentially. But she's awesome.
Yeah.
She also has
freaking love
a
Froppy.
paralysis mucus.
Well, okay.
She does.
Granted.
She does mention that.
But at the same time, it's like it's like anything that would have been a frog. There are frogs out there who can paralyze you or paralyze their prey, whatever, you know, whatnot. But still, she's a frog. Not the greatest thing in the world. When you push it up against All Might or, you know, Eraserhead or, you know, the number 2 yeah, it's like
Endeavor.
yeah,
Endeavor,
it's like
yes.
she's a frog. Well, you're like, I root for her. She, you know, when her whole like training arc came on and like what season 2 or something like that, when they were all going to do their little be sidekicks for heroes for a couple days or something like that, I was freaking ecstatic to seeing her in her element and doing her thing. That was,
in all honesty, that was filler.
it was, but I still enjoyed it.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's not like characters where we've had before where either A, filler is just you really like, oh my god, this is filler, can we move on? Or you have characters where they're like, why are we watching this character? I don't care about this character. Get back to the main character. You know what I mean? You still care about these characters, and even though they have some potentially quote unquote lame powers, they're still interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting to know that whole training arc was filler. Like Naruto, where they had like 100 episodes of filler, and like my favorite callbacks for that show is the Ninja Ostrich, which is
What?
that Ninja Ostrich.
What?
You don't remember Ninja Ostrich?
I never watched
it. Oh my god. Okay. Well, yeah, there was like a few episodes, and it was like a reoccurring filler character that it was this Ninja Ostrich. I can't remember what exactly he did in the episodes, but he just kept showing up. And all of those episodes, it was just like a whole there was 100 episodes of filler. and he was just sprinkled in there every couple episodes. It was. I didn't know what fillers were completely. I started getting into the Naruto manga, and then I realized that none of this is even in the original story. They just made up some stuff. And then like when Brotherhood got remade, and they're like, yeah, it follows the story up until like this point, and then it just veers off because the manga wasn't written yet. But then you watch
The original?
you watch Brotherhood, and they're like, yeah, they're like faithful to the original content. So it's interesting to know that sequence was filler. If you think about it, like after the fact, it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But I feel like out of a lot of the fillers, they used characters that we're like really interested in and want to know more about, and they did it in a way that wasn't obviously a filler. Like there's one episode in season 4 where you could tell the break in the arcs. Like they would do actually, where's that? Never mind. No, that's a different show. Never mind. I can't remember. This show, it flowed pretty smoothly. There's another show that I was going to talk about where I could tell there was a break in the arc. But yeah. I would say at the beginning of the series, they were talking about the League of Villains and them teaming up with another group and how that plays out. And then basically this whole series is kind of like a slow but good build up to more crazy things happening. So I can't wait to see what the second half is going to be, because this show is on the caliber where a lot of shows where I'm like, if I like it, but I'm not like completely engrossed in it, I like kind of poke fun at it, or like we're like, hey, and like we're gonna see characters that I haven't seen in a while and stuff like that. This show like kept me silent like through most of it, where I'm just engrossed in the story and like watching it play out. So there's very few shows that can do that. Like, and this is one of the ones that has done very well. So yeah, the build up is great. I can't wait to see what's going to be happening after that. I would say, yeah, I'm gonna save the rest of these for the finale because they go more into spoilers. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it, Spaz?
Just all in all, it's one of my favorite series, and I just got to say, you got some really cool stuff that's about to happen.
Okay. So stay tuned. In 3 months, we'll be getting right on into that. So the next show we're going to be talking about is long name.
You want to just go with the American one?
Yes.
We can just say Prodigies.
I was trying to find it. There we go. Yeah, Prodigies for sure, but
High school prodigies have it easy in another world.
yes. I was debating if I was gonna watch this one or Gunface, and I want to Gunface. So,
Are you regretting the decision, or?
I don't know. I want to see what y'all say about it.
You missed the chloroform.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh God.
I don't know. It's not bad. It's not great though either. It's kind of like it's an interesting watch because it pokes fun at a lot of tropes. I feel like in regards to like shonen animes of people going to another world and this, that, and the other thing. It's interesting, and I'm still engrossed in it. I want to see where it's going to go because I think they just finished think it's only 12 episodes for this season.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, they just finished off what they had so far. Hoping it's going to continue.
Spot to end it.
It is. It's a wonderful spot to end it. I did like the fact that I recognized the voice actor for the one dude who was using the flames and the fire and all that.
Oh, him.
Yeah. He was the guy who played Alucard. I was like, that's actually fitting. When you look at his character design, and I'm like, did they just model it after that or something? I mean, it's almost like he's got the long black hair, the mustache, goatee, almost always wearing armor. I'm like,
half his face covered by the hair.
Yeah, I'm like, it's really hard. What the hell? You know?
And the fact that he comes back from hell.
Yeah. I don't know. It's on the one hand, they don't always win, or they don't always win right away, but they do end up winning essentially. So at the end of the last episode, it seems like they introduced some characters that would potentially be more of a hindrance to them, and I'm hoping we see more of a challenge. And I want to see a part in it where the people that they're trying to rally behind and trying to help gain their own independence and create a democracy in this world ruled by an emperor is they start to question them. You know what I mean? I kind of want to see where like the people start losing faith in them, and they have to pull out something major in order to garner that faith back.
I think they already did.
But see, like it was really the group that they were trying to help just never really fully got on board with what they were talking about, is what I feel like that it was. They got themselves known, which, oddly enough, they got themselves known through mayonnaise. It's fucking weird.
Based on mayo.
They introduced mayo.
Mayonnaise is back.
They introduced mayo to the world. I'm like, oh, good lord. Anyways,
and then they just introduced squeeze bottles.
Yeah, and then just introduced squeeze bottles for the mayo.
Wow.
So now it
They'll
looks
just
like
trickle it out.
Yeah, now it looks like the Japanese mayonnaise container or whatever.
Oh, that warm mayonnaise bottle.
Well, you don't have to be warm. You just put it in the fridge.
You don't have to. There's one brand you don't have to refrigerate. It's it has a red cap. It's a soft bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I refrigerate that.
There's this one drama that I watched, and the main character loved that mayonnaise, and he kept it in his pants.
What?
Oh,
yeah, he would go to a restaurant, and like the chefs who cooked with him would get pissed off because he kept always putting mayonnaise on everything, and he's like, "Stop! I like made this flavor perfectly the way it's supposed to be, and you just coming over here putting mayonnaise all over it." So he ended up sneaking it in his pants, and he'd always like pull it out. And I'm like, freaking. So every time I see that mayonnaise, I just imagine it in somebody's pants.
You realize it's going to be a gag that it's going to explode in his pants at least once.
Oh,
yeah, probably.
No.
That would be hilarious. Just has a white splotch on his pants. Just yeah.
And then he has to try to explain it.
He pisses off a girl. She kicks him in the balls. Just
even better.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Oh man,
I would laugh so hard watching that. Oh god. So I like their progression in this anime to an extent. I kind of feel like we're rushing things just a little bit.
Mm.
And I really feel like it would be great if we had an actual progression instead of like jumping. Like I get why they do the things they do, but at the same time I'm like, we're taking them really far down the civilization tree really fast.
Oh.
Like, holy shit.
We got 12 episodes. Go, go, go.
Basically. I mean, I don't know if that was the way in the manga, but I mean, it seemed like I'm like, come on, there's got to be some progression here. We can't just go from swords and spears to now having
And basic flintlock
and
weaponry.
yeah, basic flintlock weaponry to now having full rifles, like
Okay.
bolt action, full on rifles,
And
Where-
grenades.
and yeah, and grenades to where they're like sniping kind of thing. And I'm like, y'all didn't even think about that in the beginning, and now that's a thing now. It's like, and everyone just accepts it. We're not like questioning anything. You're just like, they're just like, well, let's bring out the rifle brigade. And I'm like, wait, rifle brigade? Where'd they come from? Cool, but can we go to like pistols first? I mean, so? I mean, the main guy has a freaking pistol. I don't see how it would be hard to fabricate more of that, but
Actually, pistols are fairly intricate compared to a bolt action rifle.
Come on, they made a nuke. What's
Hey,
more,
I was
it's more intricate. So I mean that was kind of like the last episode last two episodes. They're doing the diplomatic quote unquote I have the bigger threat so you have to take me seriously kind of thing, in which they asked their science genius to fabricate them a essentially nuke. And they go and you can't. So in this day and age, is when I was talking about Spaz about a week or so ago. Is we saw them build it and we knew what it was because they kind of like shadowed it but didn't like come out and say it, and we're like, that's a freaking nuke, because it was a huge freaking missile, and I'm like, that's a nuke. That's a freaking nuke. But here's the thing, in this world, they don't know about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you can tell them all until you're blue in the face, I have a nuke, but it's never going to mean anything unless you actually fire it.
Yeah, nobody's used one before, so they're like, okay, whatever that is.
Exactly. So that was one of those things I was like, I was waiting for it. I was like, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And like the very next episode, it's like, yep, there it goes.
Very next episode, in the very beginning.
Yep. You're like, yep, we're firing it. I'm like, all right.
That was quick.
We ain't waiting for nobody.
You would think there would be at least a little build-up about some hesitation about doing it, but just nope.
Well,
Person gets a call about it, like, okay, we need to get out of here. Wait, why?
Yeah.
We just need to get out of here.
We need to get out of here fast. Quickly, get out of here. Yeah, so I mean it's interesting to see. Spaz had some questions about one of the characters, but I think that's just her personality. I really do.
She gives me the heebie-jeebies.
She talks about not liking naughty children.
And how she hates God and
well,
brain surgery on somebody to change their personality.
She's the medical officer, essentially. She's the one who knows all about medicine and curing diseases and this, that, and the other thing. And there was starting to be a disease that was starting to go around, and some opium dealers tried to say that they could basically give everyone opium and they'd feel better.
Oh, no. Don't start that.
So they nipped that in the bud, but they weren't just going to let the people go and not have them, I guess, essentially punished for it, trying to do something like that. So, yeah, she follows them back to their lair and tackles the main guy, pins him to the ground, and just, she has a very, like...
A saw.
Well,
it's a handsaw.
It's a handsaw. But it reminded me of When They Cry.
Oh.
That sort of look.
Okay.
But and then she goes on about, not believing in God because God says people are perfect, but she's like, everyone's imperfect. But you know what? I can fix that. I can make them perfect. I will help in that cause. And then the next thing you know,
and she says she's not an angel, she's a devil.
Yeah, the next thing you know, it cuts to
the next day.
The next day, and the guy that she had pinned previously,
Goodbye,
his head is now bandaged, and he's all happy and giddy and just subservient and like, oh, goodbye, thank you so much. Oh, it's been a pleasure. And the guy next to her, her assistant, at one point, looks at her and goes, "Should we really trust this? I don't know why he would like all of a sudden do a complete 180 in his personality." And she's like, "Oh, it's fine. He's fine. Don't worry about it. Just make sure he's just be happy with him. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it."
Also, her solution to dating.
Well, yeah, use chloroform.
Yeah, you get nice and close to him, and then chloroform.
See, as far as thinking she's gonna turn evil or something, like I'm like, you know what? I think that's just her personality. I think she's just like when she has those.
She's
people that
admitting
she
to
doesn't
essentially
like.
raping people. She chloroforms her boyfriends.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna justify that or anything. I mean, it's not right, but at the same time, I mean, this is literally we've been through. This only surfaced like after 10 episodes. I think we're just getting more of like details into what these people are like, but she hasn't done anything. Well, I guess other than lobotomizing that one dude. Other than that, just hasn't done anything too evil.
And admitting chloroforming her past boyfriends.
I mean, maybe she was joking. I don't know.
She wasn't joking. You could tell it in her voice.
I'm gonna leave that alone. But anyways, I don't know. It's an interesting show. It has its pluses. I feel like it keeps me intrigued to see, because this is like, the I think anyone who's ever thought about time travel and stuff like that has always kind of had that idea, is like, what if you went back in time with like future tech, or with the ideas that you have now, or the ideals that you have now, would you be able to change the world for the better, kind of thing? You know what I mean? It's like, how would those two dynamics mesh? Would you be able to actually do that? So the other thing that's funny too, and I don't know, have you been reading the manga for it there, Spaz?
I haven't been able to find it.
Okay. I was going to say, the other thing
that might be a light novel.
The other thing that's really interesting to me is that in this entire time, 12 episodes, it has been mentioned about the Emperor, who's supposed to be in control of all this, and you think is in the middle of all this corruption. We have not seen him yet. At all. Even though all this has been going on.
Pretty sure the last episode touches on it.
The only thing we saw was his statue. That's it.
Okay.
But I'm just curious. I'm like, what if he's not nearly as bad a guy as we kind of think he is? What if it's just his underlings underneath him that are manipulating things, and he's just very much unaware of all the things that are going on in his kingdom?
Okay.
He gives his underlings full reign to do whatever they're going to do, thinking that, like, to himself, they're good, decent people, but they're really not. And they just play it off like that kind of thing. So I'm interested to see. I just kind of want to see where this is going and what's going to happen. But so should they choose to do another season, I'll definitely watch.
Cool. So, would you recommend this show?
I would recommend this show to people who enjoy fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. So as far as the isekai, their twist is that they're basically like taking all the technology from the future, and they're also very capable people, and basically deploying all that info way earlier in time.
Basically, if you could think about taking that into like from our ideals, all technology, and some really capable people who have brilliant ideas and are able to do so much, and take them back to, like, say, the medieval time frame. There you go.
Okay. From the beginning when we started the show, did it go where you think it was going to go?
Yeah. I mean, they very early on made it very abundantly clear that they were going to change basically change that world in hopes for the better and get them away from this corrupt government system that they're currently under the rule of and move them into a more of a republic.
Okay.
And since then, everything else at that point, because they've just been moving the technology forward and forward and forward as they go. You know, first it was, we're going to improve your way of life, so we're going to give you, you know, better farming techniques, better better
water
buildings, water pumps, you know, stuff like this.
Hmm.
You know, and then it was, all right, well, now we've caught the attention of people who are going to not like us very much, so we're going to have to defend ourselves. So let's go a step further and let's actually create riflemen, and let's use tactics that they're probably very unfamiliar with in terms of battle situations, because this is what they're used to dealing with.
Hmm.
You know,
And then there were definitely some luxuries,
well, there was for
like
sure.
the bathhouse.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way though. Bathing, and especially in that time frame, wasn't done very much, and that was also a problem in regards to like diseases and such, because germs and such like that were having more capable of attaching to the body from being unwashed.
Fine, but the mayo.
I agree. A mayo is something that was very much a luxury, but it gave them a foothold in order to actually start making money.
Mayo-based religion.
Kind of. As sad as it sounds,
Free
kind of,
mayo
yeah.
for anyone who believes in me.
Oh my god.
But originally they did it to actually start selling things. It wasn't until they heard about the Seven Light story, fable, or whatever, that they decided to make their own religion and go from there.
Okay. Who's your favorite character?
Oh. Who would be my favorite character?
I think mine would have to be, it's a toss-up between Shinobu and I think it's Rue.
Oh, the merchant's underling?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Especially
Especially after that
things.
last
Mayo
episode.
and money.
Money. Yeah. Mayo is only second to money. Because she's sitting there, like, they decided they were going to have a little celebration at the end, and she took one of the mayo bottles, and at first she's like, you see her like putting on some food or a sandwich or something like that, but then she's continually doing it, and eventually the people next to her
the
like,
entire bottle.
they're like, wait, don't you have enough on there? And he's like, well, the more mayo, the happier I am, so we're just going to keep piling the mayo up. And she's like making, like, you know, from the Goofy movie, the Leaning Tower of Cheesa? It was like that. And you're just looking at it going,
on a potato.
That's a lot of freaking mayo.
Would you like some potato with all that mayo?
Actually, I know so situations like that, but she was way worse.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. Yeah, I have to say Shinobu's probably up there for me as well. I kind of like the I don't know if it's bad of me to say it, but I kind of like the Doctor character though too.
No. The heebies of jeebies.
I don't know. I kind of like him like that. They're kind of crazy, and you're just unexpected. And because it came out of left field so rapidly, I'm like, she hasn't to me shown any. You know, it's almost like the anti-hero. She's almost like being the anti-hero. She's not doing heroic things for sure. Well, other than when she's actually saving people's lives with medicine and stuff like that. But those situations where she was like with that guy, I'm like, yeah, no, that's pretty bad. But hey, at least he's nice now. I don't know, you know.
You sound like the person who'd like the pink-haired chick from Future Diary.
I need to watch that.
I'm trying to remember that one.
I've seen so many things about that one.
Hey, let's put it this way. I liked Revy from Black Lagoon.
Believe it or not, don't know what that is.
Nuts.
Okay.
She's nuts.
So Shade likes the crazy ones.
Nice.
So you like you like Toga then, don't you? From Boku, from Hero.
Kinda. But I also like too.
Everybody likes Froppy.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if you meet someone who actually said they didn't like her character.
There's two types of people in this world: people who like Froppy, and people who lie about hating Froppy.
Very true. Very true. Very, very true. So, anyways.
So, last question. What is your favorite part?
I guess for me, it was the tactics that they used when they were going into battle. Because essentially, because of the way they understood battle, they understood the usage of terrain, they understood the usage of time, manpower, so they were able to predict where the enemy was going to move and have a counter in place for that to happen.
Okay.
And I was like, I mean, and you didn't see that from their end, you saw it from the enemy's end when everything they tried to do failed miserably. And in like every corner they turned, every time they tried to use a tactic in order to try to gain the upper hand, they were already there waiting for them.
Nice.
And you're like, I mean, I was like, oh man. Because then later on, they actually explained it, and I'm like, holy crap, you guys knew everything that was going to happen.
That kind of reminds me of Dungeon Season 2, where they had that battle, and like somebody was the traitor, and like we were kind of watching as like
The midget
spectators. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, that's kind of why it gave me that, like, I was like, oh, this is good. Oh yeah, this is awesome.
So for me, there's two parts that are both toss-ups for me.
Okay.
There's the right before the date scene when one of the characters is going around asking all the other prodigies about how to get the person, which is the chloroform scene.
Because she goes up to the doctor and goes, how do you get with somebody? Well, you get really close to them, and then you use chloroform.
All the different advice she gets is all hilarious and wrong, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my other favorite scene was when Kine and our elf were making medicine. And she's like, okay, so you're going to mix this and this, but don't touch it. It'll kill you. And then you're going to mix this with this. Don't touch it. It'll kill you.
And one of them,
she was like, yet?
She was like, and don't smell this because it could kill you.
And then it was just so, you weren't expecting, like, okay, all these things, don't touch it, it'll kill you, don't. And every time she said that, the elf was just like freaking out.
We're making medicine, right? We're supposed to be helping people. Yeah.
Just don't touch it.
Don't touch it. It's not ready yet.
Cool. Well, this seems like it's gonna be. Well, it seems like it's an interesting show, so I may keep it on my list for when I go back and watch stuff.
You know what? One of these days, I want you to compile that list that you keep talking about, and I want to see how many are on this list. Do you ever like decide rankings between them, or?
So a little bit of behind the scenes. The name TacoYaki Backlog is a plan, and I plan on going in chronological order. I don't know what year I'm kind of want to start in '96 because that's when I started watching anime.
God. How long are you planning on taking with this? You planning on taking like a couple years off or something?
Well, I kind of like, my ultimate goal is to be able to to do all the stuff that I'm doing now, and then like part of that time I'll invest in like maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks, like just spend it on a show and like do like maybe I don't know something. But yeah, so it is a plan that I plan to initiate.
Oh, boy.
Don't know when it's gonna start, when it's gonna happen, but
Oh
yeah.
boy. Oh boy.
But yeah, that's it for this one. The next show we're gonna be talking about is No Gun, No Life. No Guns Life.
This one was on you. The Gunhead.
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, and you might touch on this later, but anyways, so when I first saw the trailers for this, what I got from it was very much Heat Guy J vibes. Is that kind of what you got from this? Okay, so basically, to summarize that real fast, for me, Heat Guy J was a story of two special unit, essentially police officers, whose job was to counteract. At that time, androids were the biggest threat, and they were a very much unknown threat. So they were the only ones suitably capable of being able to handle that threat. So whenever something like that came up, they were usually deployed.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a buddy cop situation with like a weird android who tried to act human, but I mean, did his best he could.
Not really.
No, okay. that was the main reason this one piqued my interest, honestly, because I kind of got vibes of that, and I was like, "Is this like Heat Guy J? Because that would be awesome. I love that show."
So this is a really good show. Like, as far as like the way that it flows, a little bit of, well, I don't know. It's like if you want to dive deep into the subject matter, there's like probably ties to certain things that are going on in the world now and like links and all that kind of stuff. But as far as like just the atmosphere of the show, the way the characters are developed, like it's not predictable. Well, some parts may be predictable if you're like really attuned to like how stories are set up. But it's a fun ride. Basically, this world is set up to where everybody, or there's tons and tons of people who have like basically think of everything that's not like a regular part of a person as just a prosthetic, and think of the prosthetics as like
Guns.
on steroids. Yes, some are guns. A lot of them are guns. There's one guy who had like it's like 2 biceps and then 2 swords. And I'm like, what do you even do when you're not fighting? Like,
He does push-ups.
oh my god, it's so yeah. So I would say the way that the story kind of plays out is the main kid is somebody who's kind of important. He gets kidnapped and doesn't really spend his time trying to get back to his parents because he kind of doesn't remember, but spends his time trying to do the right thing. And Gunhead man, I can't remember his name. He, like a lot of main characters in different shows, has a storied past of being like in the military and has this dark history of all these battles, and he's like the lone survivor from his group. His prosthetic is one of these legendary weapons where there's a specific type of person that can pull the trigger, and when he goes into a certain mode, it unleashes this incredible power. Kind of like a cliche. Of course, the kid that he's protecting is one of the people who can pull the trigger, and not because he is that specific type of person, which I think is a gunner and a trigger. I don't remember the names, but yeah, he's not one of those people, and he doesn't have this basically the prosthetic that like unleashes that power, but he can fire the gun. So that's stereotype, not stereotype. What is it? What is it?
A chosen one trope.
A trope. There you go. Yeah. It's a trope for him. It's like, of course, he happens to find somebody who can pull the trigger whenever situations get dire. Then, what was it? They come across a few different situations where they start learning about a bit of the underbelly of the city, like who's actually pulling the strings, who's in charge of yes, who's in charge of what, and basically who to avoid because it is nothing but trouble. One thing I do like in this show is there's so many levels of power in this show that it's not like the king has this group of people who are running the city and doing whatever they please, and the two main characters found out about it, and then they can take down the king. No. There's a council up top. They have their probably groups of people, and those people have their groups of people, and then there's probably 4 or 5 more levels, and then maybe 10 more levels, and then the main characters are fighting with people who are just in the area, and people who have like, this is my turf kind of people, and the trouble that's caused by them. And then they come across people who are threatening to like blow up different things to try to make a point or to try to make money, because basically they got hired by some mysterious group to blow up a train so they could get money to feed their family, and that person is related to somebody else who the main characters are related to. Like those kind of situations where it's like you can't tell how high up in the hierarchy the decision was made to cause all this trouble that affects the main characters. But it doesn't seem like it's like the council told somebody to do something. It seems like there may be multiple groups that are just causing havoc across the city. So
it sounds very complicated. You lost me like halfway through, honestly.
Yeah, so
this group and that group, and then that group goes to this group, and then this one. I'm like, oh my god, how many groups are there?
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, it's and they all have names. Like there's a Bruin group, and then there's this other group, and I'm like,
there's a what group?
Bruin.
Oh, okay. Because it honestly sounded like you said there's a Blue Man group, and I was like, what?
They have PVC pipes for their prosthetics.
They're shooting paint everywhere. Yeah. So there are like basically they could just keep the main characters could take down a group and then another one will just spring up and they can go on forever. And I would say that's, as far as like the scale of the world, that's a good thing. But as far as like what percentage of this city have we actually revealed? There's no way to tell. Like unless you see the head of one group actually talk to one of the council members, and the council member like maybe talks to another person or something like that, there's no way to tell like how many different secret organizations are like causing havoc across the city. There is the girl that's in the picture. She's a mechanic, kind of like Winry from Film and Alchemist. Now that I think about that, I have a lot of similarities there. But anyway, she is looking for her brother, and her brother is involved with all this stuff somehow. And by the end of the season, and I'm not sure if it's actually over, but where it stopped, you have no information. Like, all you know is that he made something, and that thing got to her, and she wants to know more information about it. So, and what is that loud noise?
Might have been the heater kicking on.
Oh, okay.
I say, I mean,
Okay. So yeah, she finds one piece that she could that she knows is well made, and then when she opens it up, she sees her brother's initial. So she finds out that he's one of the people who made it, and somebody else that she had already known got that part, but he didn't. He said he got off the black market, so he's not actually tied to her directly to her brother. So it kind of like you're like, oh, okay, cool. They're gonna start tying up these links, and he's like, oh no, I just bought it off the black market, and you're like, oh great, now it's like the organizations are all spread apart again. So I do like how like the organization structure is, because it makes the world seem bigger, but I do kind of wish I knew like the structure of the city, so I can see like how much trouble they need to go through to like be done. Because
get to the bottom of everything.
they're basically living on the like. They're not living on the run. They're basically like hanging by a thread. And if they piss off the wrong person, they'll get kicked out of their house. But the main guy's strong enough. He has enough respect from certain people that people won't mess with him. But if one more thing goes wrong, or if like somebody blows up one more wall, then they'll be out. So it's like there's all this tension, and I kind of would like to know like where can he go to where he could just take a nap and be fine, and then get up in the morning and then go deal with stuff instead of like something every day all the time. So yeah, I would say it's a really good show. I wouldn't say it's predictable. As the first episode was silly. Like there was a few things that happened in that episode that I didn't like him kind of sacrificing himself and like, oh, I'll be back, and then she just shoots him and he falls off the thing, and I'm like, why didn't you even fight? Like he didn't even put up a fight that first time, so I felt like that was kind of. But since then, there weren't any moments that I thought were silly, so I think that. I don't know where that came from, but the rest of the series is pretty good. Would I recommend this show to people? I would say it's for people who like that on the run. I would say it's akin to like Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Gangsta, because there's one scene in there that like the stairwell that one of the characters was sitting on it reminded me of Gangsta so much. I was like, wait a minute, it takes place in the same setting. I was like, but yeah, and I would say it's for people who are like fans of those types of shows,
well, I think the first two animes you mentioned were already big name animes anyways, so I think that covers a good chunk of most people anyways.
Yeah. I would say this didn't meet your expectations. I had no idea what it was going to be about, especially with the whole gun for a face.
Yeah, guy with a gun for a head.
Yeah. And I'm actually like pleasantly surprised. I really like how grounded the show is. Even though you're talking about like people shooting like crazy stuff out of their head and like I don't know, they just made it. I didn't have to suspend my disbelief to be on board with the show. So
and just in general principles, just hearing you talk about it without going into too much detail, I almost get the pictures. Like, if I didn't actually know what it looked like, I could almost swear we're talking about something like Footy Cootie.
Yeah.
Because it almost seems that way.
Yeah, if you're on board with Fooly Cooly, I would say ground Fooly Cooly a little bit more. Because Fooly Cooly is like wild and off the charts. Ground it a little bit more, make like the main, like, I don't know, it's like a little bit of detective and a little bit of like hanging in the slums kind of thing. And yeah. But
unfortunately,
yeah,
I suspect a gag episode coming up with someone having a crotch piece prosthetic.
Oh my god!
Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Both.
Both.
He pumps it, and then bam.
So, what was it? He said the silliness. This is the show that had the weird arc break. So after something else, like I think Shade, you had pointed out a part where in the trailer, like he went from like having the regular just drawn face to like the super deformed face, and like it was all simplified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can tell when an arc is over because they start doing that. Just like with Fullmetal Alchemist, sometimes it'll like to kind of brighten the mood. They're like, okay, now that's over and everybody's safe. Let's be silly for like half an episode, and it threw me way off. So I'm like, he's survived. They're back at home, and I'm like, what are y'all gonna do now? And he's like, we're gonna be silly, huh? Y'all still gotta do the other thing. And they're like, nah, it's fine. I'm like, okay. So yeah, it really threw me off whenever they do, like, if the whole episode was like that, I would call that episode like a whole episode of film, because it was uncharacteristic for 5 minutes after whatever was resolved. So who is your favorite character?
Gunhead.
He's really cool. But the mechanic girl, she's like a solid character. She's silly but not too silly. Smart but not stuck up. And then just a regular person. Like,
no prosthetics or anything like that. Just
no, she's just
a job.
Yeah, she's a prosthetic engineer. Like, and like she'll do something cool, and she'll start bragging a little bit, and then Gunhead will come in and like pop her in the head and be like, "Shut up!" And she'll be like, "Hey!" And, like, just completely flatten out that whole move. So it's like, I don't know. It's cool. Like, their dynamic, and it's like when she's there on her, like it's like you can tell if she's trying to put somebody in a better mood, or if she's trying to get something done, because it'll be completely different. Like, she'll be totally serious when she's trying to get something done, and then after everything's done, and she can tell everybody's sad, that she'll try to brighten them. Like, it's I don't know. She's like one of the characters that kind of holds the whole crew together, and yeah, she's definitely my favorite character. What is my favorite? What is your favorite part? Let's see.
Now, are you having trouble because there was so many good things, or are you having trouble because there really wasn't anything that really stood out in your mind?
There's I'm struggling because I want to say the spoiler parts.
Ah.
But so
just keep it vague. Just keep it vague.
yeah. I'm trying to, because there's like two of them that are spoiling. I'm trying to figure out how to vaguely say both of them. But there's two really big fights. It's two moments where you're like, I knew it, or wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
And after both of those reactions, a big fight happens, and they're both really, really cool. So, yeah, I like the two. Well, one twist one twist you could see coming. Like you're like, oh yeah, that, and then it happens, and then a cool fight happens, and you're like, okay, cool. I wasn't disappointed from that easily spottable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing happens where you're like surprised, and then a big fight happens, and then you're like, "Whoa, that was a good episode." So, yeah, I highly recommend this show. Did you ever watch Gangsta Shade?
Which one?
Gangsta?
No.
Okay. Well, there was a show that I recommended to someone. It was either you or Eminem, and then what was it? Well, there was like a detective, like I can't. But yeah,
Or you'll remember it later.
yeah, I think you would like this show. It reminds me of another show that I think I recommended, and then you watched it and like absorbed it within like a day.
Where did you watch this on?
I think it's on Funimation.
Funimation.
Yeah, right now that Funimation has a New Year 20 code, and you do that, and you get the 7-day trial for free. So,
Oh boy.
or it's $8 if you want to just watch it.
Yeah, I just hate having so many streaming sites that I never feel like I can ever keep up with any of them.
Yeah, I
mean, I barely keep up with Crunchyroll as is, so I mean.
Yeah, what I ended up doing, I basically went to 0, and then when it's time to binge for the shows, I'm like trial. And then I do the podcast, and then I'm like cancel. It's affordable that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, the prices would have to be half of what they are for me to try to keep them around all year. Yeah. So no gun life, no gun, no life. Very good. Check it out. The next show we're going to be talking about is Food Wars, the fourth plate.
Food Wars, the fourth plate. So apparently there's going to be more, as we had been discussing a little bit earlier. But I like this. This ended the arc with Nakida's father having come and taken the position of the director of the school, and was throwing everything into chaos because he felt like there was only one true dining experience, and it was gourmet, and everyone had to conform to what he thought gourmet dish and dining was. And those who liked to create their own things were looked down upon and shunned and thought of as less than adequate for being a chef. So obviously our main protagonist, Yukihira, wasn't having any of that. He, was one of those who were just like, I make whatever I feel like, and you're just going to have to deal with that.
Here, eat peanut butter and squid.
Yeah, eat peanut butter and squid. But I mean, that's what it was charming about it. And in conclusion with all that, though, I mean, there was some nice battles between them. They made some wonderful dishes, which every time I watch and every time I see these things, it just almost makes me want to just be like, Man, I almost want to make that. It looks so damn good, I know they all have or clothing explosions from it, but I know I wouldn't necessarily have clothing explosions for it, but I would still love to try some. Um, but it. I think this anime and because especially because I've been watching a chef actually do reactions to these episodes.
Oh, yeah.
The This is definitely for those who aspire to become a chef and who actually have aspirations to cooking. As ridiculous as it may seem, with the clothing explosions and stuff like that, um, just from listening to him and watching what he says, a lot of these dishes are very much real. I mean, you can make them. It's legit, and it really tells people, one, you have to have a love for what you're doing. You have to have a love for being able to cook. Is it hard work? Absolutely. They go through some fairly large extremes, like, previous seasons of they're doing their camp, and they had to essentially were from early morning till late at night working on things and preparing meals and this, that, and the other thing. And even he's like, there have been days where I've had to work 14 hours, and more just to be able to make sure that everything got done, that everything had been cleaned up, and everything was ready for the next morning's meals, and we were good to go. And it's true to life. So, the more I watch him and get his take on it, the more I really realize that, yeah, it is as insane and as funny and as comical and as slightly pornographic as it can be in some situations. It's pretty true to art, true to form. So, I enjoyed the arc. I enjoyed the humanization of a lot of the characters that you had previously thought were a bit weird because of how they were acted and how they seemed. But, you got to know them a little bit more. You got to know a little bit more about Yukihida's father, about his past and why he does what he does, which was cool. All in all, I mean, it's a great anime. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know it's still not one of your favorites as far as that goes, but it's which kind of surprised me a little bit. And I know the reasons why you have it, but it does surprise me a little bit just because I know you do enjoy food and cooking and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a silver spoon. Oh my god!
Mm-hmm. But it's.
I don't know what it is.
I know that they're going to do more. I'm curious to see what's going to happen because at this point, Yukihida's already a part of the Elite 10. He's first seat. And Nakita has now become the new director. The old director has decided that he is done after he got usurped and whatnot. And I see also that some of the original Elite 10, which was a little surprising, they had decided to keep on because a few of them were kind of jerks. But, I mean, I don't know, maybe they had some change. Because they did like a wrap-up at the very end kind of thing for what was going on. So I was kind of like, he's still in the Elite 10. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's a good thing or not a good thing, but... and they changed the rules now, so now everyone can challenge everyone to a Shokugeki regardless. That was one of the things that Yukihira, after he was proclaimed the first seat, said was because all the students at the school, because they had been rooting against the quote-unquote rebels who were going against the old director's ideology of gourmet cooking and everything, they thought they were going to get expelled or, whatever. And Yukihira's like, no. In fact, not only are you not getting expelled, but I expect each one of you to freaking challenge me to Shokugeki. Let's go. Let's do it. He's like, because he feels like, I'm a provisional first seat. I don't necessarily agree with being it, but I'm going to do it. And because of that, any one of y'all can challenge me. Anytime. Don't even care. Let's do it. And it's his ideology, because he's like, the more I do, the more I cook, the more I have to think of these things, and the more I have to think of these ingredients and how to use them, how to treat them, how to better prepare them, the better I get. And that's all he wants to do. He just wants to get better at cooking. He just wants to be the best he can be. So, and Nakita, I think, was probably one of the characters that had the biggest transformations this season as far as character growth goes, because she was originally very much brainwashed by her father to think that anything that was not gourmet food was trash and should be treated as such. And by the end of it, she really came out of her shell and really shown through that, cooking can be fun and cooking can be whatever you make of it, regardless, and you make it to your taste, you make it how you like it, So overall, that's probably the biggest message is what the chef I watch, Chef BK, and what he says is, play with your food. Always constantly play with your food, because you never know. You never know what you're going to come up with. You never know if you're going to get the next big thing, because flavor combinations, and we're always learning new things, and taste buds change, and how things are done or change. So always play with your food. So, Baz?
Definitely an interesting series. I just couldn't watch it to save my life.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good read. Ended about where I thought it would, just because of my reading. Good place for it to end for right now. Something real cool is going to be happening pretty soon. Won't spoil.
So is the manga finishing up now at this point? Has it finished, or where are we at with that?
It's kind of at a weird spot. I don't think it should. It kind of stopped halfway, right in the middle of where I was at.
Gotcha. So do they have enough for another 12 episodes at least? Because that's what it seems like they're going to be doing.
Easily.
Okay.
1 to 2 seasons.
Gotcha.
For what they have left, in my opinion.
Cool.
So this is a long-running show.
Season 4.
Yeah. Would you recommend the show, and who is it for? Yes. And anybody who loves food.
Anybody who has a passion for something like that, I totally would say.
Yeah. Then didn't meet your expectations for the season. It seems like a lot of stuff was resolved, a lot of things changed. So
yeah, I mean, you kind of knew that it was going to come out to that at some point, because the plot no jutsu of the main protagonist has to overcome and defeat them in the end.
A lot of armor.
And it was done in a very spectacular way, where the director had been one of the judges and still refused to accept Yukihira's and Nakita's dish as anything worthy of even being called food, essentially. But despite the fact that he was being very vocal in that regards, his gifting was showing everyone else that he totally agreed that their dish was the best dish. So, in the end,
I do believe even his clothes ended up showing what he truly thought.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, and everyone, even in the anime, questions it and everything. But like everyone in that family, apparently, whether or not you're even born into it or you're
married into it, if you have the last name,
you get this gifting
power,
essentially, where either, and it modifies itself depending. Sometimes like for the previous director, his clothes would come off, and then for one of them, it was. I can't remember. There's those two girls. I can't remember what theirs was, and then for the director, the Nakita's father, he had, depending upon how good it was, people around him, clothes would come off. Until it finally went all the way back to him, because there was nobody else's clothes in his direct vicinity that could come off. So it just rebounded back onto him, and poof, his clothes went bye-bye. So it's ridiculous. It's funny. They do their thing. They do their spiel. But in the end...
the two girls, I think there was the imagination one.
Was it?
Where people think like, oh my god, I'm naked. But then they realize like, oh, my clothes are still here. What?
Oh. Yeah, because they were never like actually gone. but they had like a brief thought of like it appeared at that one point, and then they come back and they're like, wait, no, it's not. Okay. It's weird, but again,
I think it's because they're underage.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well, there were two little girls, twin girls with the name of the family. So whenever they tasted gourmet good food, that's what would happen to people around them with their gifting kind of thing.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was
and then they'll have a birthday, and everything changes.
I don't know. I don't know if the gifting evolves or if it changes at some point. I don't know, but
well, the directors did.
Yeah, it was always interesting.
That's gonna be terrible. Who's your favorite character?
Just because she had so much of a growth in it, I want to say Nakita. Yeah. She had just the most growth out of anything, and you almost were like cheering her as it happened, you know, because she'd go into like very dark looks and thoughts, and you would just be like, you gotta get out of this, you gotta pull yourself out of this, you gotta get away from your dad, you gotta stand up to him, show him that you're not afraid anymore, show him that you're a different person, and you know, it all culminated at the end.
So mine's toss up between two. One is the exotic ingredient person who was a part of the original 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the other one is
you can't tell me you don't like Crazy either, because she's like chaotic and neutral. She just does whatever just to see what will happen.
Alligator.
Care. Yeah. Well, but like she eggs on during the series. She was egging on the other members of the Elite 10, even though they didn't necessarily have to accept challenges from the resistance. She would egg them on until they did.
And then my other one that's tied right for it is the Trace. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, the dude who could trace profile anybody and mimic their cooking style, essentially.
Yeah.
He was kind of clutch at the very end. Just because he trace profiled every Elite 10 member and then battled against everybody.
And the fact that he could use multiple at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Is like...
But it was always freaking weird because he had to actually like partially dress up like them too.
Or go into the spiel like, my name is...
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's like your method acting, essentially.
Your
situation. But it was so ridiculous because one of the other Elite 10 members was a little girl who was a pastry chef. Best pastry chef.
Like Gothic Lolita type thing.
He put on a freaking wig.
And a dress.
To make himself look like her.
Oh my god.
Every time.
And I think the dress was comically short, wasn't it?
Something like that. Every time that happened, though, it was funny because the guy I was watching, Chef BK, he actually took screenshots whenever he did something like that of that and made that his thumbnail. Like, he altered it a little bit, but he'd make it his thumbnail. Because it was so ridiculous. You're like, oh my god, are you serious? I think he paused it at one point when he was doing that, and I think it was... Maybe it was of the exotic animal lady when he did a picture of her too, and he paused the video when he made himself look like her and was like looked at the camera and went, "This is what nightmares are made from. This is what nightmares are made from." And I was like, "Yeah, he's scary."
But the fact that he was able to keep up with one of the Elite 10, like move for move. And the fact that he garnered the respect out of him to let him borrow the knife that he was using, which was pretty much a katana. Oh yeah, no,
I completely agree. And the fact that he taught Aldini how to pretty much become how to essentially sort of trace profile his know thine enemy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh god, that was cool. I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good characters, a lot of good moments in this one. So
I know. The next question is, what's your favorite part? I feel like I've got him.
I would have to say, for me, my favorite part had to have been the end with Nakita.
Okay.
Because so Yukihira makes his dish. It's supposed to be a 2-course meal. So the last two of the first seed and the second seed of the Elite Ten was versing Nakita and Yukihira clashing together. One was supposed to make an appetizer, and one was supposed to make the main course. Yukihira goes off the rails, of course. He does something completely off the wall. And when Nakita tells him, what the hell are you doing? You're making basically it was a main course. It wasn't even an appetizer. What the hell? He goes, what you had planned would have made us lose. You're going to have to beat my dish as essentially us doing a shokugeki while doing a shokugeki against these other two in order to make it better and win overall. So she redoes her entire dish as she had been making it already. And what I thought was cool about that is when she finally presents it, it's a rice bowl dish. Which is absolutely hilarious because the very first dish Yukihira made for Nakita when he was trying to get into the school was a rice bowl dish.
Oh.
Well, yakodon.
And not only that, but like her father wouldn't accept it still. And she's like, this isn't the completion of the dish, because she had a little bowl that was right next to it. And what Yukihira had done before was essentially he made a broth and solidified it and then cubed it into small pieces. So when you tipped it over onto the hot rice, it melted and seeped into it. And it's exactly what she did with her dish. I mean, it was a different way and style of it, but because it was such a throwback to the very beginning of all of this, I just had a huge grin on my face the entire time. I was like, oh my god, are you freaking serious? But that to me was one of my favorite parts.
Okay. Space.
As I said, mine was actually comes back to the perfect trace. Him just how much he did, because first he had to make his dish, but then he was also doing things to help out his people he was working with.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, here, have this, and he throws a bottle of soy sauce at the Chinese guy, the Chinese food guy.
Okay, so just for preference, they're doing what they call a team shokugeki. So it was there were shokugekis are normally one-on-one battles between two different chefs to make the best food that they possibly could make. Usually there's a theme behind it. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there's not. But what they're doing was a team shokugeki. So there were 3 different teams battling. So it was essentially a one-on-one, but with 3 different things happening at the same time. And they each had their own dishes that they were making. But here's the thing. Since they were all cooking at the same time, each one of them could, in fact, if they had the time to, help out the other chefs with whatever they needed. So if you didn't necessarily have enough time on your own to make it, but if the other person could finish their dish beforehand or get to a point where they were waiting for something to cook or do something else, and they didn't have anything else to do, they can help you with what you were doing. Though I will have to say, probably another thing that you just reminded me of was another part that I have to say was really awesome was Ishiki's battle. His first battle.
Which one was that one?
It was with the eel.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was facing one of the Elite 10, and because it was one of the Elite 10, you didn't really see a whole lot. And he started making fun of his dormitory and everything. And Ishiki's very much, the character of Ishiki is very lighthearted. He always has a smile on his face. He's always joking, always laughing. The minute that guy started making fun of his dormitory, Ishiki, he had an eel in his hand. he slams the eel on the table and skewers a knife into the head. And he turns around and he has this dark look on his face. And he's like, I'm going to make you apologize for that. And I was like, oh, shit. You just pissed him off. It's always the one character where he's always the happy-go-lucky person. But when you piss him off, oh, God.
He found that button.
You're going to piss him off and you're going to regret it.
Like, I didn't know the button was there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The minute he does that, everyone just goes quiet. And we're just like, damn. And then he just turns around and in one swoop just fillets the eel just in one go. And you're like, all right, he's serious now. Because even the chef that I was watching for it is like, because Ishiki is seat 7 in the Elite 10. And he goes, I somehow feel like Ishiki could be higher up on that list. He just doesn't really try. He doesn't really care about being higher up on the list. He probably just got on there just because he did even remotely what he does. But he just doesn't try. And all of a sudden, you push that button, oh, he gonna try real hard now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that was one of those moments. So.
Well, yeah. That's it for this show. You said the next 5th plate is what, April?
Yeah, it's going to be spring 2020.
Okay. We will be back for that.
Oh, for sure.
The next show.
I said, I'll be watching.
Oh, yeah.
I'll read it if more stuff comes out.
I make no promises. But yeah. The next show and the last show we're going to be talking about is Sword Art Online Alicization War of the Underworld.
But didn't we have another one? I thought we had another one.
Wait, I missed one.
Demon School?
The Demon School one.
Oh. Oh, it's there. Yep. Okay.
I was about to say, wait a second. It's not the last
6.
one. Yeah, we got
Okay.
6. Like, wait. So that one should be the last one because it's welcome to, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Sword Art Online Alicization War of the Underworld.
Part
Man.
1.
Yeah, part 1, essentially.
Oh, cool.
This is, I think they're going to go 24 episodes on this, aren't they? I think.
There's no break.
I don't think there's a break. I think it's going to go straight through. I want to say.
No time for me.
Well, I took a look at upcoming seasons. I see War of the Underground Part 2 and another upcoming one.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, are you sure? Because, hold on, let me see. Oh, nope, you're right. It says 12 episodes. Damn it.
So there is a break?
Yeah.
What season?
Damn it. It's gonna be in spring 2020, just like.
I got 3 months then.
Yeah, you got 3 months to catch up on it.
And that's the last part of the Alicization arc too, is what it's saying.
Man, yeah, I see that. You're gonna leave it right there? Are you serious? I wanted to see more. What can I say about this anime? I mean, there's a reason why the previous one, I told myself, not, so it was Sword Art Online Alicization, just Alicization, previous one for this. When it was announced for the War of the Underworld, I was like, wait, I haven't finished Alicization, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why have I not finished Alicization yet? And I went back to it, and I started watching it, and I was like, after about, 5 or 6 episodes of watching it, I was like, I remember why I stopped watching this one. It's not because it's bad, it's far from it, it's good. It's because they keep leaving you at cliffhangers every goddamn time.
And that's what they ended the season on.
And that's what they ended the season on as well. I'm like, shoo, suck. So, War for the Underworld. at this point in the series, we've taken out the person who was pretty much ruining the underworld through the human side, I guess, essentially, inside there. Well, I can't remember her name.
Pontiff.
Pontiff, yeah. Pontiff had been taken out. She was the one who was kind of corrupting people, creating these knights in order to fight the underworld. But she was doing it by removing the memories of essentially these human souls and making them into her hit squad, essentially. Puppets, yeah. So Kirito manages to kill her. Well, actually, no, it was her minion that actually killed her as she was trying to escape.
Actually, it's not quite decided if she's dead or not, because they left. It never actually confirmed that they were killed.
Seemed like she got killed.
Because she logged off, remember?
I thought because that weird clown dude had like grappled onto her and brought her back down, and then
he didn't bring her back down. He kind of fused with her.
I thought they like burned up essentially.
I said it's not confirmed that she's actually dead yet. All
Either
that's
way.
confirmed is she's not there.
So okay. Either way, so that happens. But because in the real world there was a human squad that was trying to take control and grab Alice from this, they ended up sending a surge through the system, and this surge through the system unfortunately had an effect on Kirito. Because of everything that was happening.
Ego.
Yeah, it fried his ego as far as that goes. So he's still in the underworld, but he's not really doing much. He's almost in a semi-vegetative state. Like, he can move, but very slowly, and he can't really talk or communicate.
He's like Wonder Ice from Bleach.
Yeah, basically.
In a sense.
Yeah. So basically, in order, the bad guys who are trying to get at Alice from this, I say bad guys, even though, they kind of are, just because of his underlying why he really wants Alice in the first place. Freaking psychopath,
Creepy.
honestly. Huh?
Creepy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. You want to say creepy? You thought freaking the one from the Prodigies was creepy.
Kind was still creepy.
He's fucking nuts.
Yes.
In a very creepy way. Like,
I'm eat your soul.
This reminds me of what's his face from the second season when they went to the World Tree or whatever. That dude was fucking crazy and nuts and creepy as fuck.
Oh, you're talking about the person who was in control of it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry her.
It's like, oh god, just no. You fucking just no. But anyways, the bad guys go in as essentially god accounts. And they try to get Alice that way. Now, what was really sad and what was really bad about the whole thing is that the underworld was actually going to try to make a treaty with the human world as well. They were actually going to try to coexist with each other.
Okay.
Then the bad guys come in, and one of them comes in as the emperor of the dark underworld. And basically declares war.
And so we go to war.
Basically. A lot of fighting happens. A lot of just mass killing. Characters development as well. I don't want to get too much into it because I kind of want you to watch it there, Big D.
I want to watch it.
So a lot happens with that. And eventually, it took freaking forever. Asuna finally comes in.
Hey!
Yeah, she finally decides to come in as she gets one of the god accounts from the good guy's side, the human hero side. And that was freaking awesome to behold because she freaking does like...
She can move the earth, essentially.
Yeah, terrain manipulation. Where the Dark Army was coming in and she essentially did like a giant slash in the ground where just a giant gaping hole appeared, and like half the army, well, not half the army, but a good chunk of the army went into that hole, and they were gone. Yeah.
Including the Dark Knight, which was
The Emperor's right hand.
Which was one of the people who logged in for
the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Dark Emperor is like, all right, we need to figure out something else. And meanwhile, his crew, anytime that they're going against their own programming, they have something that happens with their right eye, and I don't want to get into that too much either. But essentially, their programming goes berserk.
That only seems to be true for some non-human ones.
Because
the pugilist
stood
up code 837, which we've seen in other people.
True.
And
but
Alice
I kind of feel like he would have gone berserk had he not actually removed it. And that took some things from that as well. Literally pulled out his own eye.
And crushed it.
Yeah. So that was pretty out there. Of course, Kirito
then he
has
turned
had
into freaking Blaziken.
Yeah. Kirito has that effect on many girls in this as well, from the underworld. And once Asuna came there and declared that, they were... I didn't think she declared they were together. She just declared that she knew him. All the other girls decided to... during one of the lulls in battle, they all went into his tent in the encampment and discussed... Well, no, they had their, slumber party discussion about stories about Kirito and how they knew him and all this, that, and the other thing.
Okay.
So it was all very nice on the up and up. Nobody was doing anything wrong, but it's very much of a heartfelt moment as far as that goes. But yeah, the Dark Emperor, seeing that he is kind of on the losing side because he's facing some fairly powerful adversaries, decides to do a little trickery and makes the time frame between inside the underworld and the real world synchronize.
Then he summons America.
And then he summons America, essentially. Because he sends out a bulletin on the web saying they have this new MMO, and it's a beta, and anyone who wants to come join, here's your time, come and join. And a lot of people came and joined. So they all of a sudden had a bunch of human accounts all of a sudden show up. Yeah.
And they were actually speaking English, which was hilarious.
Yeah, it was. It was so bad, though, at the same time.
Oh, it was
okay, so it's the typical bad English.
Yeah, the typical bad. Yeah.
It wasn't too horrible in all aspects. It's better than some of the ones I've seen.
Okay.
I will totally agree with that.
I'm gonna kick your ass. It actually sounded more proper.
Yeah. It still sounded a little choppy, but it did sound it sounded better than some that I've heard. But then I can't remember her name. The little fairy that Asuna and Kirito had been with.
Oh.
Huh? You know what I'm talking about, though, right, Big D? The little fairy.
That was like her daughter.
Their daughter, essentially.
Yeah.
She sees what's about to happen with the people moving in, or the America invading, essentially, and tells the other people in Sword Art to hey, this needs to happen. We need to help. Biggest problem being, though, is she tells them there are no more good guy side god accounts that they can use. Asuna used the last one. They said, well, we can't just go in as the weak-sided accounts because we're not going to be able to do anything then. It's we can't just... Yui, thank you.
Yeah.
We can't do anything then. And they said, well, technically speaking, you do have some pretty powerful accounts on your own. They said, well, you can essentially transfer the accounts you have right now and the characters you have right now over to there, but there's some problems.
$25.
No. That would be funny as hell, but no.
Gonna need about 350.
Yeah, about 350. Essentially, this new world, there's no pain interceptors.
So you feel all the pain.
Feel all the pain.
Oh!
You lose an arm, you're gonna feel it. You get slashed in half, you're gonna feel it.
I thought you said receptors. I was like, oh,
no. Pain interceptors that are supposed to nullify that thing. Yeah. And they also said because of the way this whole thing is set up, there's a very big possibility they may lose their characters.
Oh.
And there's only one way of logging out.
You have to die.
Yeah.
They can't log out on their own. So basically, they had to see. Now, I don't know how well the negotiations went, but they had a meeting with everyone at the fairy world or whatever to see if they could get more people to join in, because they're facing about 50,000 American troops. That's how many logged in. Because I think the original count was like 30,000 from the first, because they did it in 2 waves. The original count was 30,000, and then the second wave was 20,000. So it was like 50,000.
Yeah, you don't want to overload the servers.
Mm-hmm. So, but at the very end, Shinon did show up and did this huge attack that wiped out a good chunk, if not all, in the general vicinity. And that's where they left it. With the main Dark Emperor having gotten a hold of Alice and is flying away, trying to get to the exit. The only way that they can.
The altar at the end of the world, I think?
Yeah, the altar at the end of the world. And, yeah, if he reaches it and ejects Alice with himself, then that world gets destroyed, essentially. That world just becomes no more. Alice is like the hinge point of everything. So, that's where they left it. And that's why I guess we're now getting part 2 of War of the Underworld.
Okay.
And there's a lot of details and a lot of things that happened in between that I kind of skimmed over. But again, I'd like you to be able to watch it and see for yourself.
I'm still mad.
And,
personally, I would have loved that if at the end, if Kirito actually like stepped up out of his chair.
That would have been nice too.
That would have been a great way to leave on a cliffhanger, because you know they're going to leave on a cliffhanger.
I feel like it's going to be like the last couple episodes. If any of what has happened in this previous first part is an indicator, it's not going to be until like the last couple episodes that Kirito is going to finally snap out of it.
Still mad.
Because, I mean, look how long it took for Asuna to finally get in the goddamn thing. We were like, what, 8 episodes into it before she finally showed up?
Yeah.
We're like, what the frick? We're almost over with the goddamn season. You now just show up? So.
Fine, I'll give it till when what's his name appears. The first person he helped out in SAO.
Mm.
The guy with the katana. I can't remember his name.
Tsuboi?
I don't remember his name. But he wears red. That's what I remember.
Ryo Taro, I think.
What, the first
Anyways.
one?
Yeah.
I feel like I had his name,
but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Klein.
Klein, yes. Okay.
I knew it was something close. But yeah, I would like it if he showed up and like, hey buddy.
I think it's gonna take something pretty spectacular to pull him out of it.
I need to watch this. I wanna participate. But yeah, Sword Art Online, Alice Invasion, War of the Underworld will continue in April, and we will be there. The next show and the last show, for real this time, will be Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun.
I love this one. And I'm surprised you haven't watched it.
I saw the first episode or two, maybe one. And then I haven't got back to it.
Okay. Because it's your general like slice of life, which I thought you would really like, but it's still mixed with fantasy.
Yeah. I had, what was it? I have 8 hours. What 2 shows do I want to watch? I was like, I did 2. So, yeah, if I had more time, I would have definitely gotten to this. Actually, what was it? It would have been the one that y'all both watched, and then maybe another one, and then this one.
Which one did we both watch? I don't remember. Oh, My Hero?
The Prodigies.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was only one. He didn't watch that one.
Yeah, I watched Prodigies.
No, I was talking about My Hero.
Oh yeah. Well, you and BD watched that one.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that one.
But would you recommend this show?
Highly recommended. It's very light on the fantasy. It's more about his school life.
Mm-hmm.
And his interactions in the school, but while it still has the fantasy elements.
Okay. Is he still in danger of being eaten?
Probably going to happen all the time.
Nobody has realized it's still a threat that them finding out he's human.
Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, so this is the one where he has terrible parents, and then
they sold him to a demon.
Yeah, so it wasn't. It's not like an isekai. Like he just got so. What would you say?
Sense, it is a type of isekai because he is in another world.
Okay, so I guess the way that he got there is kind of different than normal.
Yeah. Your normal way of doing it, yeah.
Yeah. Who would you say this is for?
Your general people who like fantasy, comedy, definitely comedy. This is funny, and it's meant to be funny, even though it has its serious moments.
Okay, so it's more comedy than slice of life.
I would still definitely classify it as a slice of life, but one that even people like me who doesn't like slice of life can get into.
Okay, because it has more than just regular life. It's like,
yeah,
it has that extra spice that maybe would pull Shane in.
If he'd ever give it a shot.
I feel like I'm gonna be watching Konosuba, and if I do, I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna absolutely despise the crap out of it.
It is not like Konosuba. I like this one a lot better than that.
You don't like Konosuba?
I'm leery of it.
I didn't say Konosuba.
I get frustrated the hell out of Konosuba. I'm like, go kill the goddamn Demon King! They're like, well, no, we're gonna stay in
one of his generals.
By accident. Because they blew up the freaking castle by accident.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, basically. No, I'm like that. It frustrated me to no end, and the fact that I watched, I think almost every episode of the season, expecting there to be something more, and there wasn't, pissed me off to no end.
You betrayed me. So for a show like this, did it meet your expectations? Or
yeah, I absolutely love it. I've been reading this one too. That's where I actually first got introduced to it.
Okay.
And it's been sticking pretty close to the source material.
Okay.
It's taken a little bit of liberty with jumping around the episodes a little bit, but it's not something that's going to impair the overall story.
Okay. Is it over? Like, as far as the anime goes, do you think they buttoned it up nice, or do you think they're gonna continue?
There's still more. Whether we get a second season or not just depends on how well it was received.
Okay.
I am hoping there's more because the manga is still going, and they haven't wrapped that one up. But I can't wait for it to.
Okay. Who's your favorite character?
It's honestly a toss-up between the main character, Iruma-kun,
Uh-huh.
just because he's like, I'm human, nobody can find out.
Hmm.
And there's a character called Clara, who is just so silly.
Okay. Is she the girl that's in the middle of the picture?
Is she wearing a? Does she have like really weird pockets, green hair, and spiky teeth?
I see green hair. She's dancing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was shortly after he got this gold ring. He's like, "Oh, I can't. I'm a human. I can't do magic. Oh, might as well try." In the middle of class, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna chant this spell over this sapling." He says it, and then suddenly a giant sakura tree bursts forth from it.
Wow.
But right before that happens, after it starts glowing and stuff, his the demon that's pretty much his grandpa gives him a call. Says, "Hey, since your ring is charged, you can use magic now." And then the call disconnected right after that.
Oh.
And then the giant tree.
So he could only use magic because the ring was charged?
Yes.
So once he used that magic to do that, then it lost its charge, I'm assuming.
It still has magic in it.
Okay.
So does it slowly deplete, or is it just always charged?
As long as he's not using it, the charge will stay in there, essentially.
Okay.
But once he uses it, it has a certain limit to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at first it didn't, which is why the giant sakura tree showed up. Like, this one is huge, like taller than. So think about like Soul Eater Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Imagine it being large. This tree being larger than that.
Oh, so it's not just like a regular sized tree.
No.
Oh no.
And he
so,
wasted magic on doing that.
Oh, and nobody in this world knows what a sakura tree is. So this is the first time they've ever seen it.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. This looks like something that's gonna be fun to go back to because I'm curious to see what that other girl's like. If I don't even remember if she was in the first episode. And then
She wasn't.
okay. And then
She shows up, I think, at the tail end of the second episode.
Okay.
And it's a great introduction.
Okay. And then the grandfather, I know that he's always up to something. So it might be just a fun romp to get through.
And I absolutely love the fact that the grandpa has two different forms. He has his doting grandfather side and then his serious side.
Oh.
Because doting grandfather is the egg shape.
Okay.
And then the serious one is his full upright standing position.
Oh, okay. I think I vaguely remember that. But yeah. Any other thoughts about this show?
Honestly, it's just a real interesting show. I'm still excited to see where it goes with the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say if there is another season, I hope they get to where Iruma has his Wicked phase, because that's going to be awesome.
I couldn't even imagine him having a wicked phase. That sounds very interesting. Cool. All right. that is the last show for today. Yeah, we got 6 shows today. We will be back on. Ooh. I guess because it isn't the end of the season, the 26th is good because we should have like a couple episodes in for the new season.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Cool. Yeah, we'll be back on January 26th for the next episode. We'll be talking about the initial thoughts for spring 2020. The beginning of a new decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this show's been running for 5 years.
Wow.
Oh no.
The distance.
Yeah. It started December 2014, and now it's December 2019. So, yeah. It's been a pretty good ride. Here's to another 5 more years. But yeah. We will be doing a special podcast next week as far as the channel goes. It'll be a gaming stream, and I will try to figure out how to do that because it'll be episode 1. It doesn't have a name, but yeah, try something a little bit different. But yeah, that's it for today. As always, this is Big D from TacoYaki Gaming. TacoYaki Anime. Today with me was Shade and the Spastic One. Yeah, like thank you all for watching these 5 years. Thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for supporting the channel in any way that you do. And we will see y'all next time.